Hi, everyone here and around the world, and thank you so much for your great support. This Earthfiles YouTube channel has now broken through 295,000 subscribers, and many of you have contacted me about your own personal experiences with UFOs and non-human entities, along with your own illustrations, like these 7 different non-human types linked to missing time and abductions by alien beings. From far left to right are small, pale gray artificial intelligences, biological reptilian humanoids, translucent glowing humanoids, blonde Nordics like human Scandinavians, tall whites 8 to 10 to even 12 feet tall that are alleged to travel by jumping dimensions. And then there are the strange teal blues and biological grays with large slanted black eye coverings. With 3-Eye Atlas, some remote viewers have even detected what they think are signs of life inside the huge 3-Eye Atlas craft. So has our government been trying to hide what could be an extraterrestrial reconnaissance mission to Earth's solar system? And could it be dangerous to us on the Earth? Tonight, I'm going to share with you a recent discussion I had with retired U.S. Navy Captain Mark Wood, now age 75, living in southern Florida. He had a distinguished 25-year Navy career in airborne navigation, search and rescue, and anti-submarine warfare. He retired in 1996 after accumulating 3,000 hours during maritime patrol and anti-submarine warfare operations in both Pacific and Atlantic Fleet units. Mark Wood received a Bachelor of Aerospace Engineering from Georgia Tech, a Master of Science in Ocean Engineering from Florida Atlantic University, and is a licensed professional engineer. He was also a former faculty member and staff engineer of Florida Atlantic University's Ocean Engineering Department, became the staff engineer at the Florida Institute of Oceanography, responsible for the operation of Florida's 2 oceanographic research vessels. On July 21st, 2025, this first of 3 sharp images of 3-Eye Atlas was officially released by the Asteroid Terrestrial Impact Last Alert System Telescope, known by the acronym ATLAS, in the South American country of Chile. Mark pointed out the several straight whitish-blue lines that surround the central blue and white glowing 3-Eye Atlas. So what exactly are those short, straight, white lines? 3-Eye Atlas has been monitored moving between 130,000 to 150,000 miles an hour toward our solar system. At that extremely high speed, the surrounding stars will look like blurry straight lines because the craft is moving so rapidly in contrast to the background stationary stars. And Mark, when you look at what is coming day by day into the web and you look at the images, this whole question about clickbait being used to suck people in but camouflage the truth, that seems to be one of the challenges that we all have now, what is real and what is not.
No doubt, Linda. And let's talk about the photographs. Everybody has seen photographs taken of the moon, of planets, close-ups of the space station. And when those photographs are taken, they're taken of objects that are not moving, and they're in focus, they're not blurry, and the stars in the background are all just little white dots, and everything seems clear. And everybody seems to be real upset with what they have seen online with 3-Eye Atlas because they keep getting information that there's going to be new clear photographs. And when they get the new photographs and they look, the 3-Eye Atlas image seems to be like a fuzzy cotton ball, and everybody's upset. Well, what they don't understand, as you have already pointed out, is that this object is moving somewhere between 130,000 and 150,000 miles per hour. And the telescopes that are taking the pictures are typically fixed. They take a fixed picture of a fixed part of the sky. And since the stars don't move, because the Earth rotates once in 24 hours, everything is clear. Well, we now have an object that's moving very fast. And so what they have done with these observatories is they have programmed them to move. They are driving the telescope to try and keep up with 3-Eye Atlas by making sure that it's transiting along the trajectory and it's got the right angle to it, and they're taking a picture then. Now, they still get a little bit out of focus because it's taking a couple of seconds from the time that they take the picture until it gets into the computer. So there's still a little blurriness with the 3-Eye Atlas part of it. But what you can see delineates a real photograph from a fake is that the stars are now showing as a line because the telescope is moving. A real photograph will not show pinpoint clear stars. And if you have watched any of the online videos for any of the podcasts of the various different websites, they will show unbelievably clear, detailed images of what they are saying is 3-Eye Atlas, and all the stars in the background are just perfect white dots. And what that should tell you right off the bat is it's a fake image, don't believe it, and it's got information there that somebody paid to draw the image, and it's not what we're really looking at.
And what is another good example of clickbait that is using phony images now that seems to be coming every day?
Well, I think the thing that everybody realizes is that when we first got the internet back, I guess, some 20 years ago, after about a year or two, everybody realized that just because you saw it on the internet and read it, it didn't necessarily mean it was true. Well, now we have an internet that not only has the same issue that we had before, but now we have artificial intelligence that's basically describing what you're listening to. You've got narrations that they say are real people that turn out not to be real people. They've got a talking face of the person.
Which is artificial intelligence at work now in all of the computers. And it's sort of overwhelming, don't you think?
Oh, it's gotten to be ridiculous. And the reason it's gotten to be ridiculous is if you think about the fact that not everybody was on the internet 20 some odd years ago. Now everybody is on the internet, whether it's at your home computer, whether it's at the office, whether it's on your cell phone while you're on vacation. And therefore, the amount of information that you can find is unbelievable. And as a result of that, people have turned it into a money-making business. They've got podcasts about anything you can think of, whether it's planting a garden, raising dogs, gambling, whatever you can think of, there is a website. And the way they make money is to get people to view their videos. And people will click, and that's why it's called clickbait. They will click on a video and watch it. And unfortunately, people tend to rather see car crashes than somebody washing a car. And so if you look at what's happening with 3-Eye Atlas, there are astronomers and astrophysicists who will stay up all night just to watch what the telescope is showing them and really enjoy it and make decisions as to what they're seeing and why they're seeing it, whereas most people that are interested in it are watching it because all of a sudden they see a video that says this is going to impact the Earth and everybody is going to die. And so they immediately go there to see what the problem is. Well, what they find out is it's saying a lot of stuff that's not true, but you already clicked, so they're going to get paid for you watching it. And what we've got to do is make people understand that unlike the newspapers of old, where they had the theory that A dog bites man, and that's not news. But if a man bites a dog, that is news, and you'll see it in the paper. Well, you are not the type of person that's going to show videos of a man biting a dog. And it's time that somebody gets out in front of this and basically says that there is a lot of information on a very important technical subject, and it's garbage.
Yeah. And where do you think we are right now in October of 2025 in terms of the big overarching box of everything we are discussing? And that is, are we alone in this universe, or are we finally in a breakthrough? And if we are in a breakthrough in which there is advanced technology being shown to us in these videos, do you think that we're going to get the huge crashing headline sometime in the next few weeks, "We're not alone"? And by then, that everybody will know that it's the truth.
Unfortunately, I don't think that the truth is going to come out, at least in the next couple of months. Hopefully, maybe we'll see it in 2026. But there are too many reasons why certain groups in everybody's government, not just ours, they control classified and deeply classified information, and they do not want a lot of that information out in the public. And so even though when we talk about people seeing a UFO, people who have been abducted, vehicles that have crashed, we're still getting a story that's, no, that's not true, it was swamp gas. And it's time for all of that to end. We don't know what 3I Atlas is. Is it a big rock that came apart from a planet exploding and it's been moving in our direction for several 100,000 years? Or is it, in fact, advanced technology, another species? If that's the case, is it just a probe like Voyager 1 and 2? Did it come through our solar system just by pure chance? Or did this other species know we were here? Perhaps they woke up one morning and saw the remnants of the nuclear blasts that we had in 1945. And depending upon how far away they are, they may want to know who did that.
But it seems as if in the several days that there have been the streams of headlines, clickbait issue, that whatever is in control of 3I Atlas, it appears to be operating with awareness, and that the very idea that it came into this solar system with a plan of how it would go on the other side of the sun and do something when we couldn't see it, it is implying that there is intelligence, cunning, and planning in what we are looking at.
I think that's definitely possible. There are a bunch of different options. If this is not a big rock, if in fact it was created by an intelligent species, it could be a probe that just by chance came through our solar system. It could be an autonomous vehicle that's being operated by AI and robots, and it communicates back with the civilization that created it. It could be a manned vehicle where they actually have pilots on board that are flying it and looking at what they see coming through our solar system. The thing, I guess, that would make me feel a little bit better about that is if this was manned, or if it was an AI-operated vehicle that wanted to learn about our solar system and the Earth and Mars and whatever, then it wouldn't be just going through at 130,000 miles per hour and come into the solar system at one point and leave someplace else and keep on going. I would think that it would maneuver, and so far, since July, and actually the people that operate one of the telescopes, the Terrestrial Exoplanet Survey Telescope, went back and looked at some of their videos, and they think they actually saw this before Atlas found it. And instead of being 4.5 astronomical units away from the sun, it's probably another 1 3/4 further out that's coming in. So we know at that point in time, when the trajectory was calculated, this thing was going to pass by Mars, inside Mars' orbit. It was going to have its closest approach perihelion with the sun, and it was going to do that on October 29th. And it's supposed to leave the solar system going past Jupiter around December 17th. It's behind the sun, so if all of a sudden it made a 90-degree right-hand turn and it's coming for Earth, we don't know that, but so far that hasn't happened. So I tend to think that it's probably more of an AI-operated intelligence probe of some sort.
However, remote viewers have gotten what they thought were frequencies having to do with biological life. I also wonder about your impression of motive, goal. This clearly is advanced technology. Would the actions that we have seen, which seems like stealth, sort of hiding, not known to us, there's been no introduction, at least not to us publicly. And that's where it falls into the line of what is the motive? What is the goal, and could it be dangerous to us on the Earth?
I think that one of the issues, and this gets back to this important issue of the clickbait, is the fact that we have not seen from an official governmental source a realistic and verifiable podcast to say that we picked up a signal coming from this vehicle at X hertz going in a direction. If it was just a rock, even at the speed that it's coming from, we're talking about 4,000 years for every light year that it would travel at 130,000, 150,000 miles an hour. And if they're saying that it may be coming from the star in Sagittarius that's 78 light years away, this thing as a rock took 400,000 years to get to where we are. And obviously, it's a rock. That's possible. But if, in fact, it's a probe, if, in fact, it has a crew on board, if it's a probe that is actually monitored with robots and AI that's looking at where we are and what we do, or if it's suspended animation that's going to take a large number of their citizens to a new planet, then they can't be on that thing for 400,000 years. So what that says is that whoever fabricated this thing has the ability to either travel at multiple times the speed of light, or they have the ability to bend space and time, because there is no way that one of these vehicles could have come from Sagittarius and done so very quickly.
And yesterday, October 28, 2025, my colleague in England, Ian Holling, emailed me a list of, quote, 8 new data points from the International Gemini Observatory in Mauna Kea, Hawaii. And so did Mark, Captain Mark. Number 1, 3i Atlas has unusual orbit. Its path is almost perfectly aligned with our solar system planets' orbits, very unlikely to happen by chance. 2, 3i Atlas has a jet of material pointing toward the sun, the opposite of what is expected for comets. 3, 3i Atlas is massive in size. It's far heavier and faster than the previous interstellar visitors, Oumuamua and Borisov. 4, 3i Atlas has precise timing. It passed close to Mars, Venus, and Jupiter in a way that seems finely tuned. 5, 3i Atlas has odd metal clues. Its gas cloud has lots of nickel, more than iron, something usually seen in human-made alloys. 6. 3I Atlas has very low water content, only about 4% water, while most comets are mainly made of water. 7. 3I Atlas has strange light reflection. It reflects light in a way no other comet has ever shown. 8. 3I Atlas, coincidence with the Wow signal. It came from the same general direction in the universe as the famous unexplained radio signal that was detected all the way back in 1977. Harvard University PhD astronomer Avi Loeb reports that when all of these 8 facts are calculated, the chance of all 8 happening naturally is incredibly small, about 1 in 10 quadrillion. That's 10 to the minus 16th. Further, Harvard astronomer Avi Loeb now says that there is, quote, a 40% chance that 3I Atlas is alien technology, close quote. And I want to thank retired U.S. Navy Captain Mark Wood in Florida and my colleague Ian Halling in England for sending those 8 facts, and to my friend, astrophysicist John Brandenburg, who has been working hard also in trying to stay up with daily reports about 3I Atlas. The film that some people have asked me about that I have referenced, and I just wanted to bring this up to speed before we go to questions and answers with Ian. It was all the way back in July, and I was doing my first research on Edgar Cayce. And I had never read books or read anything about him, and was at the computer and typed in his name, and a list came up. It was a mixture of old, new books, films, like actual old films. And one of them looked like a documentary, and that's what I really wanted to see, would be documentaries done a long time ago. And I wrote in my spiral notebook on that day, I just do spiral notebooks for notes and things, that what I was looking at in this film that was showing Edgar Cayce reenacting how he would lay down, go to sleep, his wife would transcribe what he was saying in his sleep, and so they built up a lot of notebooks and paper of his sleeping knowledge. And that in one of, and the camera, they were reenacting. I just want people to understand it was a reenacting history film. And they were reenacting the scene about his seeing the date, October 29th, 2025. And because that would be now, and I'm looking at an old grainy scratch documentary film from long ago, I wrote it down on my spiral notebook that look for October 29th, 2025. And then there was another sentence that said that he compared it to a blade of light in the sky followed by some kind of destruction. And that there would be big changes environmentally and politically and war on the Earth beginning in the period of October, and it said 2025. Now, I don't know myself how all of these different layers work, but I'm assuming frequencies, that we're in a cosmos of many frequencies, and frequencies can come into our brain from something that might be 100 miles away, and that is something we humans may not fully understand, but that it works in this universe. The key is frequencies, past, present, and future. Well, now NASA has put the Three Eye Atlas on its threat list for the first time in history in case Atlas turns out to be, quote, an alien invader, close quote. And those are words that have recently made the news. So here we are on the night of October 29th, 2025. So far, the planet is still here. But in serious tone with respect and appreciation, I would like to go to Ian in England, who is such a great interface between you guys and questions and answers, and start out by asking Ian, do you think that when you think about everything that has happened, Ian, in the last several months, do you think that it is possible that the government or our government, that they are afraid to release what they know, which might be that it actually is an alien invader? I'm just curious what you think, what our audience thinks on that bottom line question.
Yeah, well, it's interesting to get our audience's perspective on this. And Linda, first of all, I and everybody else here in the chat and in the audience watching from all around the world tonight are glad to have you back live in a live show. So thank you for this.
Thank you.
And there's
too much travel, and then you get flu bugs.
Yeah, that's right. But anyway, we're glad you're here, and we're addressing this important topic. And so yes, first of all, your question about this, and I was only listening just before we went live this evening about NASA's silence on this. Well, of course, we know that NASA is shut down or partly affected by the government shutdown, etc. But we have been told that when Three Eye Atlas passed close to Mars, there was an opportunity for much better pictures. And these pictures, although we've seen an image taken from the Mars rover, there were certain telescopes that were focused on this and got very good pictures. Now, we're told that these pictures have still not been released.
Yes,
because
you're making such a
validation.
Ian, that is such a good point to stress, because that's exactly what Mark would conclude. And here we are tonight. We've been waiting for these closer images when it would get to Mars. And yet it doesn't seem like anything has happened except more and more and more cover.
That's right. I expect, and also I've not seen substantiated mentions of this, but on a channel I watched earlier, and again, we have to be so discerning on what we watch and double check our sources. It was saying that certain people, according to work for NASA, had posted things on social media which had then been removed, as though there was some concerted effort to try and get some information out from some individuals, but others were being suppressed, or that they were taking them down, or for some reason we couldn't get to them. So there is this question that the authorities or the powers that be and whoever is running the show or thinks they're running the show is trying to control the narrative of Three Eye Atlas. But in effect, although it has disappeared from sight at the moment, and it goes through this time behind the sun, and then it will re-emerge. It will come closest to Earth, I'm told, on December the 19th.
But closest, and Ian, closest now to, as it comes through, this will be the closest to us, right?
Yeah, but it comes back round, and it will make a close pass to Earth. I think the closest pass to Earth will be on December the 19th, which is a date I've got down here, which is actually, here's some funny coincidences as well, which we haven't even covered. Thank you for posting those 8 points that we covered. But we are now on, as we approach Halloween, the Day of the Dead, and a lot of comets are tied in with predictions and these sort of things. Now, at this time of the year, this is supposed to be, historically, for all nations and cultures, they seem to have this idea that this is the time of the thinning of the veil when we are closest to the spirit world or the other side, or at times of great awakening. Even the Norse traditions have this tradition of the wild hunt going through the sky at this time of night, of year. So we've got this, everything's overlaid. Now, when it comes back and it comes closest to Earth, that's only 2 days before the autumn equinox, the winter solstice. Sorry, and so that brings that into quite a clear perspective as well. These are dates that are quite significant to us on Earth. So we have these 2 dates which again are close to close passes of this object, whatever it is.
Can you ask in some kind of, with Eric's help maybe, how many people now tonight think that this is an alien reconnaissance craft, and that in addition to high-end technology, that what is the likelihood that there is intelligence, intelligent beings, intelligent computers, some intelligence with plans inside?
Yeah, let's see if Eric can put up some sort of a poll. Just repeat that again, the sort of thing that we want to put in there, Linda, and let's see if Eric can put that up while we're doing this, and let's poll our audience. We've got at least 2,000 watching, and I'd recommend anyone join us in the chat tonight and share your thoughts. We want to hear from you. Very.
An alien reconnaissance craft that would not just be AI and machines, some of the remote viewers say they have definitely sensed biological presence. We don't know the nature of it, but biological presence immediately comes to a human mind, I think, as something alive, right? And biological. And that is the big mystery about what is inside or driving or in control of this massive Three-Eye Atlas.
Yeah, let's see if Eric can put a poll together then while we're on the air tonight. Then we'll go to a few questions. One of the other funny things that was drawn to my attention as well tonight was there's a film that was put out called First Contact: An Alien Encounter. Well, this is where scientists apparently discover an extraterrestrial body coming towards Earth with giving us a message. It's supposed to be a drama documentary of an encounter with an alien object, which is traveling through the solar system. Now, that came out in 2022. So that seems, again, apt for this sort of thing. Don't forget as well, OpenAI brought out a new browser, which is a ChatGPT browser, and they've called that Atlas. which is funny. And Perplexity, you couldn't make this up. So they've only just brought this out on October just a few days ago. Perplexity AI, another AI company, launched another browser called Comet, and Comet came out in July. So that came out very close to the discovery of Three-Eye Atlas. So these coincidences are stacking up, and even tonight, before I came on, I just had a quick look online, and I saw there are a lot of YouTube channels that are featuring Edgar Casey predicted Three-Eye Atlas, although I don't find any substantiated.
Yeah, that day when I was when I watched that old film, it was definitely an old documentary with scratches. I also went into newer information and realized that we're talking about somebody who was working in World War II, and that what is written about him, let's say in 2025 or 2024, is not going to reflect what was the richness and complexities of what he was hearing, what his wife was writing down. It's taken decades, right, for this to evolve into where people want to know about Edgar Casey, and that the complexities of understanding and even knowing where to look, because he would keep diaries and she would do the transcript on when he was asleep, and then eventually they would be put into logs, books by dates and categories. But that whatever, when you read about what he was doing and what he was seeing, and then you contrast it with what's available today, it's like I think a lot is missing from the current work. And it's only implied in some of the material that I have been trying to read. But it sure does seem to me that he is in the category of a remote viewer who was amazingly accurate, and all of us should probably try to study more and learn more. And where is that old grainy film that I saw it that one time, back to July almost, and I have not seen any reference to it anywhere else.
Yeah, well, we might never know. I did a search, but as I say, there was quite a lot out there, and although they mentioned some of Case's published prophecies, I think the link's maybe tenuous, but there is another coincidental tenuous link. I think that Edgar Cayce may have had some recognition or citing of the so-called Hall of Records underneath the Sphinx's paw, and that is also being
right.
There's the data that has been produced now that shows that there may be some structures underneath the pyramids of Giza, and that might be true as well. And apparently he has talked about some awakening, and whether or not this 3i Atlas is the awakening that he's talking about, or the so-called messenger. But again, I've not had a chance to substantiate any of that, and I have to thank our audience as well for their due diligence in looking for this, and also we've got the tools of AI to do this. And by the way, Eric's got the poll up now.
Okay.
Do you believe 3i Atlas is an alien craft or controlled by aliens? So we've got a yes or no answer on that, so we welcome people to join in on that as well.
Good. It is fascinating to me that we're at a point where the political world of leaders has still never acknowledged what they know, that we are not alone in this universe, that there are other intelligences. We work with some of them. And yet we're at 2025, soon to be in 2026, and the cover-up, the public can't know the truth, that people would panic, that when does that stop? Because for Homo sapien to grow and evolve and deserve it's almost a gift to be on this planet, being able to have access to the wonders of Earth, versus other places that wouldn't be like Earth. For us not to know the truth about other life in the universe seems impossibly abusive.
Yeah, and we go backwards and forwards on this. Since our last live, we've also had the Global Disclosure Day, in which a panel of experts were debating all of these matters, and it does seem to me that again this disclosure is being kept alive, but it's struggling in places, and we hear new things all the time, but perhaps the dam walls are about to break, and we will have, certainly from increased pressure, there will be more revelations. However, there also seems to be a strong pushback to hold back all this information and to not disclose. And in fact, it may well be a case that if the ETs decide to disclose their existence and their presence, they may well do it openly and in front of us. And again, an opportunity like this could be an opportunity for something to happen with a celestial event. that no one can deny.
Well, another odd parallel is that there's been more and more books in the last year or two by people who are describing the abduction syndrome. And it is odd in the sense that we're getting more and more and more literature and some documentaries by people who are trying to explain what their interactions with what they call are extraterrestrial biological entities or alien ETs from another star system that are interacting with humanity with genetic manipulation of wildlife, of humans, that some hypotheses are that the Anunnaki did genetic manipulation, other, we'll call them ancient aliens, like the show I do, and that we are at some sort of a major, it seems like, intersection between even the sandstone carved symbols that add up to a sophisticated civilization like the Anunnaki, having been on Earth, somehow controlling humans, and yet what did they do? They released nuclear weapons on each other. Chris Hardy and others.
The Elizabeth is in the chat tonight, and she says, do you think because of more information being out there, more experiences are coming forward and forced disclosure? I did not feel comfortable talking about my experience until recently. And so she's an example of an experiencer who now feels comfortable talking about this. And you're right, there are a lot of experiences seem to be now coming forward and talking. I'm talking to more, and I welcome anyone from our audience to contact us at Earthfiles.
I literally,
Ian at Earthfiles.
Yeah, and Ian, I literally went to the post office a couple of days ago, and it was in one of those tubs, mail.
Yes.
In addition to emails, texts, phone calls, a whole bin of mail. And I'm eager to go through it. It looks like a lot of letters typed from people who I would imagine what I'm going to encounter will be descriptions. But I do not think it happens very often to get an entire bin of mail. So to me, in a way, it's a reflection of everything that's agitated and evolving. But what I'm concerned about is that if it continues to go from cover-up to cover-up, and it is only becoming more ingenious cover-ups of the same story, that there are extraterrestrials here, they're in bases in our solar system, they go beyond into other solar systems and galaxies. If that doesn't start being, let's say, refined to truth, that the truth is told, are we actually going to continue to go into 2600 to 30? Are we really going to be on a planet in which controllers keep the huge truth that we're not alone in this universe, that they continue to make that be the philosophy that's acceptable? I just can't believe it can keep going on.
No, we're in the, as Steve Bassett calls it, the truth embargo. We're in more than 80 years of a truth embargo, which again must be going for a record on keeping things under wraps. There is a big uptick, and also an uptick in the news being taken more seriously and coming through more serious channels as well. For example, today I was reading about the UFO app that logs mysterious underwater sightings you mentioned about bases on Earth.
Right.
Because there's this popular UFO reporting app called Enigma, which apparently has done a map of USO reports, that's unidentified submersible objects, off the East Coast. And there seem to be a huge amount that are now being recorded by these apps.
Right.
And
underground, underwater, right? Underground, underwater.
Yeah, and get this statistic. As of August 2025, the Enigma app has logged over 9,000 US sightings within 10 miles of shorelines and major waterways. And that's meaning water, ocean, lake, or beach. So that is 500 of those occurred within 5 miles of a coastline. So the presence of UFOs and USOs, or the same thing, UAPs, near the coast and in water and around water is now being logged as well. This is scientific data. And this is important data.
And Ian, remember last year, on the East Coast, all of the drones, those drone reports, like if you added up all of them, there might be 7,000 or 8,000. I mean, people were talking about how many drone reports there were up and down New Jersey and in a couple of the surrounding states. Whose drones are those? Are they human drones? Are they ET drones? Are they a bunch of different ET drones? That was evidentiary for quite a while. Remember, it was last fall. And that was especially in New Jersey. And I wonder why it might relate to something that is underground there in that state as well.
Yeah, New Jersey does get a lot of UFO reports, and a lot of reports as well follow UFOs along the river there, the rivers, etc. So that's interesting. Although we have had the last week, but again, it's still fresh news and not been totally substantiated, that a US tech company says that it was responsible for those drones. But there are also the drone sightings that have been recently taking place in Denmark and I think Norway as well, where certain airports have been shut for a period of time with these drone incursions, and the drones have been seen going back out to sea. So that's another factor.
But why did they show up in the first place and spend a month going up and down New Jersey and those surrounding states? It's almost like a joke by a sophisticated group to see what we would do. But if you look at it more seriously, it's what would other alien beings be doing, trying to catch our attention, guide people to certain areas, and still a year later, at least nothing public has been proven to be what those drones were on, who was in control, what happened. It was a big event. It went on for quite a while. And remember, there were political people who were really upset.
That's right. People were concerned because, again, even if it was a testing of new technology, secretly done, it was done in full sight of everybody. Everybody was watching and witnessing, and everyone was having their own drone sightings. It was incredible. And some of these drones, let's face it, they did exhibit capabilities beyond those of normal drones, staying in the air for longer than normal. Some reports even said that they seemed to be changing their shape, etc., and exhibiting strange characteristics that would not be that we'd not normally see. I did cover one case and follow one case, but sadly the person who was originally posting about it, which his drone sighting when he got in the car and went out and followed one, actually led to a full-blown UFO encounter with a structured craft. But I never got to the bottom of that, and he never replied or got back to me on any further information. So,
well, a lot of people are afraid once that they realize that they are dealing with something that's probably in the ET category for real. Some people back off for a while, but they usually come forward. But I'm really curious tonight, what is the churn in our chat and messages about this whole subject right now? Meaning, are we dealing with entities that are inside of a gigantic? What is it? The numbers keep changing on how wide it was, but I think it's been compared to a flying city of Manhattan.
Yes, exactly. That's what Avi Loeb said in his Joe Rogan interview which went out in the last 24 hours or so, and he says it's as large as Manhattan. So, there's a huge size, by the way, and 63% of our audience at the moment are saying that they do believe this is or could be an alien craft or controlled by aliens.
63%.
That's what we're on at the moment. There's still time to add your vote to it now if anyone else wants to join the chat and do that before we close the poll.
What do the other 20-some% think it is?
we do have people in the chat like JC who says, please don't be disappointed if it proves to be an inert interstellar object. And Louise says, her question is, isn't 3i Atlas just a very unusual comet, and shouldn't we be preparing for our sun's massive CMEs hitting Earth? And that's a good point, because we in the UK just over a week ago had a massive outage of one of our 4 major telecoms, and it took down lots of telecoms in internet communications and 4 and 5G communications.
And there was the one here that Amazon went completely down, and it blocked me for a long time too.
This gives us a taste of what could happen if we have another micronova type event, or let's say a CME ejection, or another, let's say, Carrington event, as they call it. This could be, becoming more common, or something we may have to get used to, or we may suddenly experience.
And there is this even bigger box, and that is, assuming that all of the reports are true, that there are drones that might be being operated by ETs, that 3i Atlas, in all of its various definitions or descriptions by people about how huge it might be, the fact that it would have all nickel and very little gold, which we can't, or that's not something that would be found naturally on Earth. And you keep going through all of these aspects, let alone the illustrations that people sketch and send, and are often extremely good, and by people who don't know anybody else, but there are similarities from sketch to sketch. And then when you do an interview, you find you're not telling them, they're telling you what their story was. And I end up hearing, my gosh, they're describing the beings that did X in another state, and that the story gets bigger and bigger through increasingly detailed retellings, I think, by a lot of people in the abduction syndrome. Meaning either people are getting more comfortable to talk about extraterrestrials interacting with them, and or the ETs themselves are becoming less, everything is hidden and in beams and shadows, and that they're being more face forward. But why would that happen? What could all of this be evolving toward?
Some people are saying that we're coming towards an awakening, and maybe these are the times when there's going to be crucial times where, as Richard Dolan says about the fifth stage of humanity going into the AI technological revolutions that we're seeing with AI, but it's also a time when we're perhaps going to have a jump in our own evolution, with us discovering that, or let's say finding out for once and for all that we are not alone. There is an ET presence, and we do also have some abilities that we are able to use ourselves. We haven't previously used a jump or an ascension, as they call it. I've got some questions here from our audience in a bit, because I'm conscious of the time. And I also want to say thank you so much for everybody in the super chats tonight. We've got Rams, Mike Basil, Doria, Savosta Nova, DR Elizabeth, Alice W, Yin Yang Glow, and Alice W again. She'd like to so much she did it twice, and Caroline Boyce. And Yin Yang Glow says she's got a three-part question for you, Linda.
Okay.
In 1974, we sent the Arecibo message into space. Then in August 1977, a year after I graduated from high school, we got the WOW signal. The very next month, September 1977, Carl Sagan sent the Golden Record into space. Next in the timeline, we got the crop circle message in binary code. And the part 3
and
is,
that was 2000,
I think.
I think it was 2000 or 2001. That was,
That's it, 2001, I think it was, the message in the binary code. And I remember that, and I remember, we spent a lot of time when we were decoding that one.
I can share something right here, Ian, that I took photos that I got from England after that big crop formation, and that it had some very unusual crossing of things that made patterns that made a lot of people think it was like digital information there at the observatory there surrounded by the wheat fields. And I called up a friend of mine who had a colleague working in Yale, and I arranged a meeting. He was an astronomer, and I took photos. None of us knew for sure, but I just took photos of what it was I had covered and the aerials. I'd gotten a lot of aerials showing that pattern, and that one looked like digital information that some said was pointing to we were the third planet from the sun, and they were trying to explain in their digital that they were the fourth planet from the sun. That was an interpretation. So now I'm in the university with an astronomer, and I bring out these photos, and I had not had a chance to say anything. I just said, may I lay out photos and then I'll explain. And I was laying out my aerial photos, and the astronomer stopped, put his hand on my arm. He said, wait, let me see that. Let me see that photo. And I picked it up, and it was in front of the Moulton Observatory. And he said, this is a symbol that we use having to do with, and it was things like eclipses in the fourth planet from the sun in XY system. You see what I mean? That they had a digital key about whatever a solar system would be, how they were depicting it in a computer program that he had. And that was an astronomer picking a photo before I had even gotten all the photos out. And that was a revelation, because it meant that whoever made the Moulton formation knew precisely what some astronomers were using in terms of planetary counts in solar systems. And he and I, when I talked to him, and I said, well, and I explained all the details, and saying other scientists say we must be dealing with extraterrestrials, that this is a pattern that has been put down in the wheat field in front of Moulton Observatory for a reason. No one outside of hypotheses came up with here's the bottom line answer. But the very dynamic of something like that, when you just have a photo and an astronomer recognizes that, I live for that, because I think it is getting us closer to the fact that there are a lot of people working in astronomy and astrophysics and aerospace, and they know the truth. And the mystery is, why is this planet kept in the dark?
Yeah, and just to finish on that, about the coded message, I mean, there's the coded message, the binary message, which was interpreted to say, beware the bearers of false gifts and their broken promises, much pain but still time believed. And I think that that's significant now, of course, with the false gifts, etc., of being, let's say, AI-generated clickbait that we started this program on, and about broken promises of perhaps not having any proper disclosure of the ET presence and what's actually going on in our planet or around our planet. Much pain, but still time to believe.
And Ian, explain, you are reading right from the code that was the huge head that was carved. The torso and the head. It is a gray, and it had a translation of information that you're reading from.
That's right. That's where that one came from. It was in that disc that was in front of that place, and it was such an intricate crop formation that was and if any, well, for those who have been in the circles and the formations, they understand what we're talking about. How precise some of those messages were, and some of those formations actually were.
And where did that crop circle maker go? I always wonder about it. It was like here they're saying this is a kind of being. Here's a disc. Here's how we can communicate digital, and they're talking about that there are enemies that cannot be trusted. And where do you begin or end in trying to even go to somebody who might be the head of a department and say, can you help us do a complete professional investigation of all of the parameters of this crop formation in front of an observatory with a huge illustration of a gray being holding a disc with digital information? That doesn't sound so cool. It sounds like an enemy is upon us. Why are those events always separated from the whole social activity of humans? That is the part that bothers me. It is why I've done this work since 1979, starting with the bloodless, trackless animal mutilations. And they're all part, I think, of the same complicated story. There is not 1, 2, 3 ET civilizations. There's hundreds, thousands, I'm convinced. And it is so complicated. But maybe Homo sapien would be helped as a whole planet if we would finally get on the square that we are not alone, and there are ETs that are trying to help, even if there are ETs that are using Earth for their own benefits. And that's the part that I don't know why. Why does it not accelerate to that?
Yeah, these are, as people in our chat are saying, these are very interesting times that we're living in, and they certainly are. I've got Brooke P1111 says he's had, or she has had, 3-eye atlas visions. In my visions, it looks rocky and mossy. However, it appears to be breathing and alive on some strange level that isn't typical of our Earth's rocks.
Oh, send me that in email.
Yeah, I will do. And Kevin Wilksey says, my Substack features my channeling with Valiant Thor, where he predicted 3-eye atlas on June the 16th, 2 weeks before it was ever seen, time-stamped and documented. So that's interesting as well, that someone had that vision beforehand.
When, though? What year?
This year.
Oh,
June
this year.
16th, 2 weeks before it was actually seen.
Okay.
Kevin Wixie ran a Substack. By the way, if you're still in the chat or still listening and watching, send us information at Earthfiles@earthfiles.com, and we'll hopefully follow up on that.
Yes, and if you can send me a phone number, I really like to follow up, and I always protect everyone. I never give out any contact information. You can call me. So I would like to know more about that. And go ahead, Ian. There was a third or fourth?
Yeah, just looking now at other people's personal experiences. Alice W. says, I decoded the plasma signal carried by Voyager 1 showing a message from Vega. And she also talks about travelling through portals. So I think that's another question for another day that we can go into. The chat has been very lively tonight with lots of people joining in. We welcome that, and so glad to have people joining in, giving us their own thoughts on all of this.
Can I ask you, that would go to everybody who's here, do you think that this is subject matter that should be covered on a daily or weekly basis if we continue to have what appears to be reconnaissance craft, aliens, that it is not maybe, this is real. These are real evidentiary events. And do you all do you feel that this is important and helpful for Earthfiles YouTube channel to keep doing the work that we are doing on the subjects that we're trying? And then I want to hear everybody who agrees scream through the TV.
I want to do I want to point out as well that for some very good factual information, roundup information on 3i Atlas, Christina Gomez has done an excellent job, and she has a playlist of this as it's gone on and added new information to this, and that's a good trusted source that we can get a lot of this information from. But please let us know in the chat how you think that we handle it and how you'd like us to handle it. Thank you.
Yes, and feel agape hug. This is coming up to Halloween, which is supposed to be a scary holiday. And what I'm hoping is that nothing scary at all happens. Not here on the land, in the water, in the mountains, in the sky. That nothing scary happens. And that we will go on into the holidays as Homo sapien in a very complex and strange universe that we actually don't know very much about. And then we'll do more subjects. Thank you, Ian, Brad, Eric, everyone, and all of you who are here. Let's keep growing the Earthfiles YouTube channel on these amazing subjects, which it's your experiences that help me continue to evolve and bring you as much information as I can. See you next week.
Turn on closed captions for YouTube videos by clicking the white CC button on the lower right. The default language for Linda's videos is English. If you would like to see the captions in another language, click on the white settings button next to the CC button. Select Subtitles CC, and then select Auto Translate. Select a language, and the captions will now appear in that language.
Sort of gone through, and they will hold their heads. I never had a cat do that before. And they'll pull against the comb, helping me get out snarls. And I think it's the best they've ever been.